Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Social Media Help Desk. I am Stephen Wagner. I'm the Director of Operations here at KWSM, a digital marketing agency. We've got Taylor Glaze,
Hi.
Content Editor. We've got Alexandra Hall,
Hello.
who's our Web and Video Project Manager. And we've got some really great stuff we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about video, using video on social media. We're going to talk about tips for realtors, how to use social media and digital marketing to expand your real estate business. And you know what, we're also going to be talking about some other more, specific things. One in particular, why diversifying your social media using a variety of social media platforms can be really beneficial for you, especially in light of the fact that there have been a few social media platforms that have crashed lately and been unavailable. So why don't Twitter. But Facebook and Instagram last month, right? So let's start there, right? So Twitter crashed. It stopped working in Japan, India, UK, different parts of the US, all kinds of stuff. Twitter went down. It's okay because not many people use Twitter.
Oh no,
Just
not that many.
There are actually a lot of people that use Twitter. But I think what this highlights, because it happened recently, last month Facebook and Instagram went down for like a whole day, which killed, you couldn't use Facebook, couldn't go on Instagram. Ads on any of those platforms were frozen, so a lot of ads kept running, even though maybe you didn't want them to run. So it ended up kind of being a bit of a mess.
That's also what we like to call a day off.
We may have gone to the beach. No, we didn't. We were here. We were working on other things. Don't worry. But I think what this really highlights is if you built your entire business or whatever it is on one platform like Instagram and that thing goes down, I really just think this highlights like to diversify.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. What do you guys think of this?
Yeah, that actually kind of makes sense to something I'm going to talk about a little bit later with our real estate clients. Is sometimes we may not always see a huge drive of traffic on such platforms like Instagram, but the client's really aware that it's important to have that brand presence, just so if people are searching, they see you have a page. And it's a good way to kind of switch up the content too on different platforms, whether it's really necessary or not. It just kind of gives you, like you say, a variety of options to have.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you definitely want to have different ways to access different people. I mean, you're going to have certain people who are going to be the Instagram users, the Facebook users, and the Twitter users, and you might have audiences in all of them, but they're going to consume the information differently. My question is when Twitter goes down, where do we go and complain about it? Because everybody else goes from wherever went down to Twitter. When Twitter's down, you're like, well, we're done here. The internet's dead. Nothing works anymore.
Yeah, right. Maybe Reddit. You have to go
it might be Reddit.
One step deeper into the Twitter. I feel like that's like you just keep going deeper and deeper. Like, oh, this is on Twitter, and then it's like, oh, Reddit. It's from Reddit, and then you go and then you're gone for the whole day. Then you're done. So so definitely diversify. Don't just focus only on one channel. If you've got an Instagram, you're doing well. That's fantastic. Also get on Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, something like that, to diversify it.
And I think it's important though, if you are going to diversify, is to use each channel appropriately as well, because not all content works the same, for each channel. But that's why it's fun to switch it up and try new things.
Definitely. Yeah, and for example, like Pinterest, Pinterest is great for beauty brands, right? Fashion bloggers, food bloggers, visual, anything that's super visual. And it was interesting because there was actually recently an interview done with the makeup artist for Meghan Markle. So you know who that is, of course, right?
Yes, the princess.
Yeah, the princess of Great Britain, right? Yeah, of England, excuse me. And she, her makeup artist said that they actually used Pinterest to find looks that she wanted to have for her royal wedding.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Right?
Do you think they pin them somewhere?
No.
Some secret
like a
board.
secret board?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It actually said that they were texting each other pictures and links to Pinterest stuff.
That's awesome.
But a recent survey by Pinterest actually said that 85% of women use Pinterest to plan life moments.
Yeah, I know. This is big with weddings. Oh,
every girl I know, long before she was gonna get married or engaged or anything, you're like, I've got my wedding aesthetic, and and then you update it as like the years go by.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Big for hair too, your next hair appointment. You know?
Next hair appointment,
Hairstyles,
some big
yeah.
event, you gotta have your makeup done, looking for fashion, moving into a new apartment. Oh, I have so many boards, guys.
Yeah. But you know what? I wish Pinterest was around when I got married, because if you just share that with your soon-to-be husband or whatever,
Yeah.
then they've got it all down. You've got it all set. You don't
Yeah.
have to
No,
figure
he's
anything
gonna
out.
run.
Yeah. You're like, okay, this is awesome. Yeah. They're like, why did this start the day after we met?
How did you do all this
Yeah.
in one night?
Yeah, this is crazy. Anyway, so Pinterest obviously is great for brands in that case, and even people like royalty use it for just day-to-day stuff. So they're just like us, right? So another thing that's cool is LinkedIn. LinkedIn has what's called a partner program, and LinkedIn partner program actually is sort of LinkedIn verified or LinkedIn approved companies, platforms, things like that.
This is kind of like the influencers of LinkedIn, correct?
No, not
Oh,
really.
okay.
Yeah. Not
I
really.
thought that's what they're calling them.
No. This is different.
Okay.
This is like companies or platforms that other companies can use to market themselves on LinkedIn.
Got it.
So there's some companies like like companies like Sprout Social, like scheduling platforms like
Okay.
Buffer, things like that. And then there are other companies like agencies, like us and things like that, that are on there as well. And so those are the types of things. And so what's cool about their partner program is they actually recently expanded it. So within the partner program, there are different specialties. There's about 10 different specialties. And so they've actually recently expanded it to include a few additional specialties. So if you're looking for some resources on how to market on LinkedIn, that is a fantastic resource on where to go to find companies that are approved by LinkedIn that sort of have an in to say these are quality companies that LinkedIn will recommend. And so definitely check that out. LinkedIn can be kind of it can seem really easy because it's like just your online resume, but when you get in to use it, there's a lot of different functionality to it. And so if you want to use it for business, that's a great place to go.
It feels like every week we have something to talk about at LinkedIn. They've got something new. They do, they're slow but surely, making their way through, finding what works best for them as a platform, because it doesn't apply to everywhere, but some of it does. And so it's kind of cool to see them continue to grow and add those professional services if you're interested in it or trying to get your resume out, whatever that may be.
Definitely.
And I think if you own a business, you should be on LinkedIn.
Oh, yes.
And I look all the time, and there's companies that are not on LinkedIn, and whether they're a client came to mind actually that I just discovered today was not on LinkedIn, so
Great.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Unless I just couldn't find them. I won't say their name. But yeah, if you have a business, you should be on LinkedIn. Whether you use it a lot or post content, people need to be able to find you, and it's a great tool for hiring people.
Definitely, yeah. And having that LinkedIn company page, so for your company, but then also having a really well fleshed out LinkedIn profile for yourself if you work at a company, because people are going to look you up. And a lot of times if you Google your name and where you work or your name and the city you live in, your LinkedIn profile is often one of the top results that will show up.
And this is the one channel that you don't need to be posting multiple times a day on. So it is kind of the channel that you can set and forget, even though we don't recommend that ever. It's like the one you should be doing that for. At least you have to have a company page on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Definitely. So check that out.
Because I've had a realtor client for almost a year now, and it's been really fun to kind of work with. I also came from a realtor background in my family, so it's kind of been fun to work hands-on with them. I'm not going to give away everything because that's why we do it for them, but I have some good content tips and platform tips that'll help you if you are a real estate agent. And when you can't handle it all, then you can come to us and I'll do it. But anyways, first things first is the content. So most people think when it comes to realtors, all the content's going to be listings and houses and all this kind of stuff. But with my current client, it's been really fun because we live in beautiful Orange County in this office, and I represent them down here. So what we're really selling to people is the lifestyle of buying a home in Orange County, whereas most people don't think of that when they go to buy a house. So a lot of our content revolves around local events, city happenings, the neighborhoods, the school districts, going to the beach. We really focus on kind of selling that lifestyle because that's why people move here. They retire here, they have big bucks and can live here, or you're lucky to grow up here. But so we focus on that. But that's not to say we don't share listings or open houses, other sold, kind of that more generic stuff. And we have clients out of state that do post more stuff about that. It's kind of just the preference of where the realtor is located, but there's definitely a lot you can do if you are a realtor on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that makes sense because I think the data, right? Like where the houses are, what's for sale, square footage, pictures, all that kind of stuff. That's out there. Like that's on like 10 different websites.
Yeah.
already,
Yeah,
right?
with Zillow and all these platforms,
Yeah, Redfin.
the way that real estate is changing today, where you can become your own realtor, you can get your own real estate license, people are doing that to save fees. But there's really something special about working with an experienced agent who is familiar and lives with that in that area and knows the lay of the land.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main selling points of finding a realtor in an area is they're already familiar with all the neighborhoods. They know exactly what these homes are going for, and if you can describe to them, like, here's what I'm interested in, and here's the vibe that I want, and they're like, okay, this neighborhood's going to be for you. Here's what's there. And they know how to navigate all those places like Redfin. Redfin is a dump of information, or Zillow or whatnot. They just pull from the MLS, and it can be overwhelming. So having a realtor who's knowledgeable about an area too, which is where we're getting back to, is if they're sharing that on social, I know that this person is going to know the area, and I can feel comfortable in what they're going to be able to provide me as far as information.
Yeah, and so some of kind of I'm getting my words mixed up, combining jumping and diving into a word, jiving.
You're
I'm
jiving
into platforms now. So some of the things we talked about earlier is Instagram's a really place to have that lifestyle presence where it's kind of hard to run some of the ads there and attach links to listings and whatnot. It's a great place to show those events and happenings and the lifestyle because Instagram's all based on aesthetics, so showing how beautiful, Orange County is, all the beaches, the sunsets, the events, it's just the perfect platform for that. And then whereas Facebook is kind of where we kind of get down with the nitty gritty of listings, open houses. We also create a lot of ads that do really well for these targeted audiences because within Facebook ads, you're able to target miles radius within a house that's for sale, and we've seen pretty good success with that. You can also share generic listings on there. And then some other content that we do for our real estate clients is we do ebooks, and this is kind of something when you want to offer people, it's almost like a piece of trust. Sometimes you think like real estate agents or salesmen or things come off salesy. So this is kind of like, hey, here's the lay of the land. We put this ebook together for you. Have it for free, and then when you're ready, come and find us. So we do that for a lot of people, and Alexander knows we build landing pages on clients' websites to host those, and they're easy downloads, and that's a way for us to kind of gain new clients for our clients and kind of start building that trust. And then we share that on Facebook as well. So Facebook is a really good mix of content from the ebook and then blogs, which I'll get into. Ebook, blogs, lifestyle, it's a really good mix for real estate agents. Like I said, the blog, we do a weekly blog for a lot of our real estate clients. And I think a blog is one of the most important assets for most industries and companies, but for real estate, it's been really great because you can always write about something, whether you're writing about, these are my top favorite listings in this area right now, or you do how to prepare your home for the market, how to spring clean your home, when it's time to do a kitchen rebuild. There's just endless amounts of real estate topics out there. And then this is really important for your SEO on the website as well, to backlinking and having these other sites linked to that. And then, like I said, you can share the ebook on Facebook, or the blogs on Facebook, and recirculate blogs if they're, time sensitive or not at all.
Yeah, something specific for real estate that's really important is as an agent, one of the things, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this, is in whatever neighborhood you live in, there's always that one agent who's always selling in your neighborhood, and you know their name.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you're like, I live here, I don't need to buy here, but you know who that person is. And part of that is because it's top of mind, and so using social is just another way to get in front of people and being top of mind to the point that you're just like, oh, that name, it's tied to that guy who sells in Huntington or, wherever, and then you're like, oh, maybe I will give him a call, and then you find out that they're a resource. Yeah, of course you're going to call them, and they're going to feel trusted. So real estate specifically is like very much like, I need my face and my name in front of you constantly.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that they go to him as a resource, because even though I feel like I'm the resource on the back end, one time my client reached out to me and was like, hey, do you know of a good florist in the town? And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I got on the phone with my friends who I knew have lived here for a lot longer than I have, found a good florist, sent it to him, and then he sent it to a client. But that's kind of what it became. It had nothing to do with home buying, but it was a resource. Although I'm kind of like the secret and like the ghost resource. It's really fun. But it's special that he came to me and knows that like I'll figure it out for him and could help him in that aspect. But Yeah, so it
That's
really
very
is
cool.
becoming a resource. And I think that's how you build the trust, because I don't think people realize when you buy and sell a home, there's so many emotions attached to your first home, your first home married, your bachelorette pad, the home you bring your child home, your first kid home to, where they started school. There's so many of these factors that go into it. Having that person you've worked with or trusted, or you can feel that, is just a really big benefit too. So that's kind of what we work on besides the lifestyle, is selling this relationship that we're building between my client and his clients.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. No, I agree. I think it sounds like, obviously be an expert in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Sell the lifestyle, and make sure that you establish your expertise, right? You can't, have like the coolest looking Instagram, but then someone calls you and has a legitimate real estate question about a contract or something like that. You got to know.
He
what
doesn't
you're
come to me for those.
No. So if you're, a realtor in real estate, there's so many real estate agents out there, so many realtors out there. This is a great way that you can really set yourself apart, is by putting out some great content and really letting people, feel your vibe and make sure they understand that you are the expert and they should come to you.
Oh, I can keep adding on to that.
Yeah, please do.
This is what happens. You get really passionate about your clients. But on top of the lifestyle and the expertise stuff, I also mix in a good balance of real life things, of places that my client is at with his family, because it kind of ties into like, oh, he's a dad and he lives here and he's doing this, and that just kind of builds on the trust in that aspect as well. So you can really tie in personal, work, pleasure, play. Real estate really is, at first I was like, this is going to be challenging, and now it's just like, it's flourished.
It's really emotional.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's like, okay, he gets to know everything about the contract, but I like it.
Definitely. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you. That was fantastic. Let's move on to video, and let's talk about video marketing on social media.
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of, there's like one of the most underutilized resources available, and B, I think people really don't understand it, and I think that's why. And one thing, I'll let you get into it. I got a lot of thoughts.
I'm sure you do.
I already have a thought too on why it's so underrated, because I think people think it's really more complicated than it needs to be. Or
that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's 100% it.
Well, Alexander, take it away.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you all have a lot to say about it, because obviously we're sitting here doing this. This is a form of video. It may be a little bit more simple than exactly you think it is. So I want to start with one thing of why video is important on social specifically, how it's really good at influencing people. Part of it is the way it forces you to digest something. So when you're scrolling through your feed, a lot of people can read pretty fast, especially in the digital age. We've gotten really good at reading faster. You can kind of skip through things. A video requires you to stop and watch it differently. You can't just scroll by it. You can't just like, oh, that's a picture. Oh, that's some text. Oh, I want to spend time here. A video is like, oh wait, there's motion, there's something happening. So it actually forces the user who's scrolling through to stop for a second. Now, that's where some of the nitty gritty comes in. If you want them to keep them short, so you get to the point very quickly. But that's why I want you to understand why it's important on social. We also happen to know it's one of the most popular forms of posts on social. Those ones get so much engagement because people are able to connect with it. It also has that human element. Especially if you've got someone in it. Now, there's also videos that are text and B-roll and maybe not necessarily that way, but we like to see faces. Like, the psychology behind it is we are attracted to faces. For example, side tip, if you're looking at a website, your eye is going to be drawn immediately to a face and their eyes if you're on a website. And so it's really good to stick your call to action and text right next to it, because that's the next thing we'll look at. That's a side tip. But FYI, that's why it is we want to see faces and we want to interact with faces. We are social beings by nature. And it's also really good for social because you can use it everywhere. It doesn't matter what, as long as it's something that's relevant to your business, that's relevant to the information you're trying to get across, or as a resource, any of the channels are going to be able to, somebody's going to be able to digest that one way or another. So those are some of the ways that it's really, really important how it's influential. And here's a couple of things. I want to give a couple of ideas that you could use, and then we'll get into how to use them on each of the channels. So overall, what do you guys think would be the first video that someone should have? If they're going to have a professional video, what's the first one they should have?
I would say an about video.
Yeah?
Do I have to answer?
Yeah, why not?
Oh man. Well, that's what I was kind of thinking, not so much about, but maybe like a behind the scenes or an introductory of the person who started the company or something like that.
Overview videos.
Yeah.
Those are the first ones that you want, is an overview. That is one of the best. It is really versatile, and you can use it on your website too.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be something that talks about you, it talks about your business, it talks about your brand, it talks about your people. You know, this is all part of your overall marketing message, and you want to make sure that that message is told in this one. It's a really good way to introduce people to you. Another way that you can do this is being a resource. Like we're going to keep talking about, being a resource is key. People will come back to you. And that can be how-to videos, that can be educational videos, that can be, you know, if you've got a really cool tidbit about real estate that you want to share, spend 30 seconds making a video and saying, hey guys, here's the thing that you should know when you're looking for a house or looking for a realtor, and then call me. Like that's the kind of thing I'm talking about here. It causes people to have a feel for you. And so this is why video is important, is it's that human connection, it makes you a resource, and it really establishes you, and they can see what interacting with you is gonna be like right off the bat. And that's what people like. So now we're gonna go into what channels you should be using it on.
I just
So
thought such a good video idea for my real estate client. Can't wait.
Accidental brainstorm on the show.
Yeah, I'm spiraling in my head right now.
I like it.
Very cool. Well, so I'm going to go over 3 of the ways that you can use video on specific ones. So we were talking about LinkedIn earlier, and this is a really good one for your professional videos. These are the ones that are going to be your abouts. These are the ones, I mean, I see people share on LinkedIn all the time resources and information about their industry. And so this is where some of these how-tos could go. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is that video that is uploaded natively to LinkedIn and Facebook perform better than one that's shared from somewhere else.
Can you explain to them what that means?
Yes, so what that means is instead of taking a video from YouTube that you uploaded, which you also should do, I'll get there, instead of taking a video from YouTube, using that link and posting it to LinkedIn or Facebook, you can upload a video directly to LinkedIn and Facebook. Those platforms really like that. They like that you're using their stuff, and they rank it higher when it comes to showing it to people.
Yeah, and they rank it higher because they're watching the video on there, and they're not going to be taken away to,
Right.
to
Third-party site,
a
yeah.
third-party site,
Yeah.
YouTube, Vimeo, like one of
Right.
those other places. Because every single one of these social media platforms want to make it so that you stay. If you're on LinkedIn, they don't ever want you to leave. If you're on
Yeah.
Facebook, like they don't want you to leave. They want you to stay and live your entire life. And so that's why it's like they reward you for uploading content there, because they know that your followers are going to watch it right there and not leave and go to somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that is native video. Keep that in mind when you're uploading your videos. Another way to get those out in front of people specifically on LinkedIn is upload it as a business and have your employees share it. We've done this, we've done it before, and just getting it out there, because LinkedIn is really a network, just kind of spiderwebs out. And so if everybody's got slightly different connections, even though you're all around one main hub, that's a really good way to get that seen by more people. Then let's talk about Instagram. This one's a shift because it's pretty different from LinkedIn overall. Instagram is very aesthetic when it comes down to it. And so Instagram has, as we've talked about before, their IG stories. They're little 24-hour clip videos. Now you can upload ones that you've prepared beforehand instead of just doing a live one. Live ones are good too, people are gonna watch them. But this is another way for you to do it. And we've talked about it before in some other ones of using the various different like options where it's going to be like you're tagging someone, you're asking questions, getting their input, you're doing polls. These are really good ways on Instagram to get in front of people, but you can also share them directly to your grid. That's another way to get in front of somebody, and that's one way that you can work into your aesthetic of what people are doing. And if you are able to take the time to make a lot of videos or take one longer video and cut it into clips, that's a really good way to continue having a very specific aesthetic that you're going for on Instagram that relates to your business and people will recognize immediately. I know for me, there are Instagram accounts that if I scroll by them, I know exactly who it was without even reading any of it. I'm like, yep, I know who that is. So keep that in mind when you're making some of these. Lastly, and most importantly, is you have to have your videos on YouTube. I don't think we've said this enough that YouTube is the #2 search engine, owned by Google, of course. I can't think of a single person who hasn't searched how to do a thing on YouTube and ended up with it. I do it all the time. I've had to fix tail lights and things, and somebody inevitably has it. So that's another good thing to do about YouTube is that everybody's looking for it. Things are going to pop up, and these are obviously going to be seen at some point. And ongoing videos that you upload over time in YouTube, you're going to collect people coming back to you. So that means more of those how-tos, more of those resources, a little bit of about anything that you do should just go on YouTube.
And then optimize your videos.
Yes, and you can probably talk to more about that of like optimizing, like what should someone be looking for?
Well, in every one of your videos, which Steven just helped me set this up for a client, you can add in it's kind of where the description is, but you should link to all your social channels because that really helps. And you can set it up to where it does it automatically to every video you upload and little things like that. You also should add keywords. Those will help your SEO, link to your website. All these little things cause like such big impacts when it comes to getting your brand out there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know. I think it's super powerful because as a search engine like Google, you're just hoping Google's going to pull information from your website. This, you can actually upload something directly to this search engine, you can think of it that way,
That's true.
and tag it, and add information, and links already. So you're uploading this great piece of content to a platform and a search, a search network where it's going to allow you to do that. So YouTube is fantastic.
YouTube is great. So when it comes to video, that is probably the number one, but I mean, it allows you to share. So even if you weren't sharing natively to somewhere, that's, we see things all the time that get shared by somebody else, like, hey, I found this cool piece. And so really what it comes down to is you should have multiple videos. It's really good for your stuff. People want to see your smiling faces and know who they're going to be working with. It gives them a feel for who you are. You can always, test it out and see how your audience does with certain videos. It could be a learning process of deciding what kind of content does someone want to consume. And we do that here all the time. We have to test it out and see what happens. We started doing this and found out that, hey, people are paying attention. We put it on YouTube. We've seen people watch it. So, just test it out with your audience, see what happens, and try your best to get customers involved. This is really high engagement and can cause a lot of conversation, and video is so much easier than you think it is. I can't tell you enough. I mean, I obviously do videos all the time and get to be behind the scenes. And that's part of the fun, is you get to coach people through it, and it's a lot easier than you think it is.
If they need help.
And if they need help, yes.
Well, let's talk about this a little bit because, you say it's easy, but I think most people look at it and say, well, I need a camera, I need lights, I need all this stuff. You don't really need all of that stuff. I mean, you do if you want to create a nice professional video that you're going to put on your website. But for, a lot of stuff, just day-to-day stuff, if you have if you just understand the basics of good video making, lighting, framing, things like that, which you can literally go online and read an article about it and start making videos.
YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. And start making videos better right away. And so, I think as you think about creating videos, this is always something like there's either good video or people don't watch it, right? There's no such thing as a bad video because people don't watch bad videos. They're going to watch it until they determine for themselves that this is a bad video, and then it's going to go away, right? And so as you're creating these videos, also think about, obviously you want to make sure it's quality, you want to make sure the content is good, and look to see, if you're just getting started, maybe look to see what other people are doing in your industry and try to imitate that. But the other thing is, if you do want to invest in some higher quality video, right, which we always recommend because everything online is just getting higher quality, better, all that stuff. You don't have to, you can use one video or a few videos in a variety of ways, right? So when we're talking about LinkedIn, we're talking about YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, right? We will often take a single video that we take, that we create, and we'll put it on all those channels. And in a lot of times we'll even reformat them to fit into the specific format that it should be, like like a square on Instagram, or maybe portrait mode for Instagram stories. YouTube's obviously going to be more of your traditional landscape video. And so there are a lot of ways where you can invest money and create a high quality video and get a lot of bang for your buck out of it, right? And so I think that that's really important. I think that if you're talking about content, right? Content is king. Everyone says that. You always hear that. What does that mean? Well, in a lot of cases, if you have a really high quality video that is done well, that's going to be the best form of content that you can create in a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
So do it. So create some
do
videos.
it.
What I was going to say is if they need help, we have our video studio day coming up.
We do.
Absolutely.
September 19th, it's a Thursday. we have some slots available, but it's limited, so you have to get in. So if you're in the Orange County area, we do half-hour shoots. They're real quick. We coach you through it. We can do it as an interview where we ask you some questions. I'll ask you some questions. Or if you want to read off of a teleprompter, we can do that too. We coach you through it. It's really good for people who are first-timers at this. They don't know, how it's going to feel. Well, we do. So we're going to coach you through it.
Everything,
yes.
right?
Yeah, we plan it all out for you. We get it started. We know we do some preliminary work on even what your brand is, so we know the right things to ask you. So you can see that on our website, kwsmdigital.com. It's under the workshops section in video day, and you can sign up right there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, we just did one in San Diego last week.
We did.
Sold it out. So it's very popular. A lot of good people get video now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
You're welcome.
Yeah. So check that out online. We've also got social media bootcamp coming up in October. As always, please follow us on Facebook. We do this every Tuesday, 12:30 Pacific time. We also post these onto YouTube, so you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Practice what you preach.
Yeah, that's right. Get on there and check us out. Hope to see you guys again. Hope you have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.